Right, so I'm back here 24 hours later with the Honor Note 10. Now, there's been a lot of questions in the comments. Thank you so much, guys, for firing all those questions through. I've been trying to go through them and answer them, so this is the purpose of this video. Unfortunately, I don't have my full battery stat details yet because I was going through it last night, and what happened is I was so tired I connected up the cable and I reset all the stats. But what I will do is show you how the battery life is faring right now. It is holding up really well. So I'm using a GSAM battery monitor here, so 3 hours into it, and the battery is down to 66%, but I've been doing a lot of gaming, and I'll just quickly show you what I've actually been going through. So I'll go through the official stats here. So when you have a look at this, you can go and check on the battery usage, of course, and you check the app. So 3 hours, I used actually 4 hours there. So GSAM doesn't seem to be reporting things correctly. That's why I actually restarted this whole test here. And you'll see here the apps I've been. So Prime Video, I did a lot of streaming. I've been playing Hit, YouTube as well, World of Tanks. So Prime, that was going for just over 1 hour. And it is holding up really well. Now I have the brightness configured to about 200 lux, which I feel is a decent level. This is what you're looking at the moment. So it's on the set brightness. It's not too dull and not too bright either. And I'll just show you that screen on time. So we're looking at, 4 hours here. So something's up with the GSAM stats. I can't get proper stats, so I'll just use the official stats, of course, built into the app here. So there have been quite a lot of questions firing through. Now, I did make a couple of mistakes, I admit, because probably I didn't search it well enough. Because what I did is in the settings, I typed in always on display, on-screen display, sorry, so that didn't actually pop it up, but the setting is in there. Now, what Huawei have done, they've really just hidden this thing away because it's really silly. It's under security and privacy. Then you go into screen and lock with passwords, screen lock and passwords there. Then the always on display is right down the bottom there. So it is really kind of hidden away. I don't know why Huawei have placed it here. To me, this is kind of a little bit silly to put it there. They should have it under the display or somewhere where you can see it. But yes, always on display is there, and it just gives you the time information and things like that. Now, I did have a lot of questions about notifications, and yes and no, I am experiencing trouble. So I've got WhatsApp installed. Twitter notifications do seem to be coming through, but not always. And I noticed the same with WhatsApp. What happens is that when you run the app, then you start getting all the notifications will end up coming through. And after a set timer, when you close the app down, it seems that they're not being pulled through the push applications correctly, or they work for a little while and then they're killed off in the background. Now, this could be to do with their aggressive RAM management, probably something to do with that. But another one asked me, what is the performance here of Twitter? And you can see it is really quite good. Now, so far my time with this phone, I am really impressed. It is a step up from the Mi Max 3, of course, because this is a premium phone, and it does have, of course, the Kirin 970. It's a flagship CPU, so very fast, really good performance. Of course, this is going to be a little bit dependent on what your internet connection is. And you'll see that, there's no problems with that. It's just the notifications is one thing that is bugging me. My biggest issue to whether I will end up swapping from the Mi Max 3 to this phone in particular would be this. It would be down to software. So I managed to uninstall most of that bloat. So I've got rid of it. Well, not all of it. So there were more questions about this. Can you uninstall all the Chinese bloat? Well, not quite. What I've done is just put a lot of it into a folder. So they've got these other things in here like Honor Reader, Huawei Video. You try to uninstall these ones here, and of course a system app, it will not let you. So that is one thing there that does bug me a little bit, but if I can hide it there, then it's not going to be too much of a problem. So really I want to see the international release of this, and then if you've got the international version, you won't have all those Chinese bloatware applications. Now, yes, I did comment and say that it was rubbish, crap apps. Now I'm looking at this from the perspective of someone that isn't Chinese. I'm not in China, so for anyone outside of China, yes, those apps, they are all junk. Most of those ones that I have already got rid of and uninstalled. It's just a little bit of pre-bloat they put on there. Now, Samsung's famous for this as well. They put like 2 apps of everything, loads of crap on there. Xiaomi also puts a lot of your Chinese junk on there. So it's to be expected with a Chinese phone. That's just one of the things about importing a device like this. And more questions as well about the dual cameras on the rear. So what modes does it support, and what about open camera? So with open camera, you can enable video stabilization and then set it to 4K. But I did test this. I tested this yesterday, and the reason why I didn't actually mention it or post a sample is because it doesn't actually work. So electronic image stabilization with this CPU just isn't possible. We need to wait for the Kirin 980, which I believe, according to Huawei, I think it is, that it's going to solve this problem, and we will have electronic or digital image stabilization on 4K. Also, quite a few questions about what kind of video modes we have on there. Is there 60 frames per second mode? Yes, there is. And someone else asked about, can we use the more efficient H.265 HEVC codec? Yes, that is here. Now, the reason I didn't use that for my sample is I just keep it on the default, normally on my reviews, and sometimes I run into issues when I edit my videos using that newer codec there. Now, some of those comments to do with the cameras were based on the fact that I'm doing it wrong here, that you need to disable the beautifying mode on the video. I actually did that, but it just didn't come out through on my video that I had it disabled later on. And you can see it is disabled, so it's set to 0 now. And if I go into the settings, which you can see here, video size, that's all we got, so 720p. Unfortunately, now I'm pretty sure a firmware update will probably add this in, but I would like to see a 1080p option on the front-facing camera, like other manufacturers. And of course, a demonstration there of the always-on display that you get with these AMOLED panels. So the face unlocking, I made an error here that yes, you can actually go straight into the UI. So what I'll do is I just demonstrate that now. Hopefully the camera is going to be able to pick me up, and you can see straight into it. It is very fast and does work really well. Overall, this phone just flies. It is really nice, good screen, and just going through everything just seems to be almost perfect. I'm still seeing some of that lag sometimes. Now, where I've seen it quite bad is when you go into a folder. So if you add an app to a folder, and I did this just before. Sorry, why can I not drag that? There we go. And put it in there, and when I was opening it up, it did quite a big stutter, and I didn't expect to see that kind of lag. But that was just a freak event that most of the time this thing is just running super smooth. Another comment was to do with 16:9 content. So it depends on the app how it handles it. Some of them you can scale to full screen mode. So YouTube, someone said, well, those borders are ugly. That's a deal breaker. I'm not buying this phone. But you can actually solve this in a way. You just have to zoom. But it's something you're gonna actually get on a lot of phones that have the 18:9 aspect ratio, unless of course you're looking at an 18:9 aspect ratio or 2:1 video. But you can solve it just by zooming in there, and you can see that yes, that screen does look nice. I mean, it would have been even nicer if it was 1440p, but I don't have any problems or issues with the sharpness of this display. I mean, I'm not looking at it only an inch away from the actual screen, so you don't see the pixels at normal usable distances. So a lot of comments as well. There's probably about like 20-30 of them or so asking me which phone is better, which should I buy, which big phone. So straight away, if you're not on a budget and you don't mind having a little bit of Chinese in the ROM, you can get rid of most of those apps as I mentioned, then this is the clear winner. It has better loudspeakers, it has a better screen, much better performance. I mean, the storage on this one can get 800 reads. This one tops out around 280, 270 because it's eMMC 5.1 spec storage. And then we've got UFS 2.1, so a huge difference there. And we're getting an Antutu score of around about, as you just saw, 210,000 versus about 119 or 16 or 110,000. So it's almost twice as fast this phone here. Now, in terms of the cameras, okay, both of them take a very, very similar photo. There are samples in my first video that I posted in daylight, but when it comes to nighttime, using the night mode, this is the same night mode, by the way, that has been borrowed, you could say, from the Huawei P20 Pro, and it is one of the best night modes. It's a handheld night mode. It takes 5 seconds, but you just got to hold it still, and it combines various different photos, just like the HTT mode that Xiaomi has as well. I did a test with both of that. Again, it's in my video. Low light, the clear winner, if you take a lot of low light photos, is this one right here. Now, bear in mind, though, with that night mode, if you're shooting moving subjects, like, for example, you've got a dog running around, no, the dog's going to be blurred. It's not going to work then, but for static images, yeah, much better. But in terms of daylight, they are both very similar here. Now, one thing that's missing in the ROM is the Fullscreen Gestures that we have on the Xiaomi. I would like to see Huawei incorporate that later on in the future, and they probably will actually end up doing that. That's just one thing I'm missing between these two. So my pick so far, having used this now full on for a day, I would say that, yeah, if you're not on a budget, So money's not a problem. You'd probably be happier with this one. They've got better loudspeakers. It's just more immersive. Gaming performance is a lot better. So if you're going to play PUBG, you can run it on HDR and the ultra frame rate setting, whereas you have to lower the settings down on the Snapdragon 636 there. So the build quality as well, definite. Although I'm not a huge fan of glass, I must admit. Glass-backed mobile phones, very easy to crack these. And yeah, that is one thing as well. The build quality is a definite huge improvement. Now, I just wanted to briefly touch on the topic of that button there that I'm calling a gimmick. And why call this turbo, the CPU turbo and the GPU turbo, a bit of a gimmick? Because if you ask me, it's real great and all that they're improving the performance of games like PUBG, Asphalt 9, optimizing the frame rate. That's all good, but why do you have to push a button for it? I mean, come on, this should be automatic. This should be part of the firmware, part of the software, detect the game, or at least have a gaming center that's connected to the button. But it seems at this stage that's not properly implemented. So for me, it still stands as a con that I listed in my first video. So I'll hold it down because a couple of comments said I'm doing it wrong. I'm holding it wrong. And nothing's going to happen. So every time I push it, so if I go into Asphalt and run that game, and then you push the button, there's still no actual, it will pop up that will come from that. So just launch Asphalt 9, and you tap the button, you hold it down, I'll press it 20 times. It doesn't seem to do anything. And I've also done some tests with it, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But for me, it is useful, that button at least, for this, the camera. You go into the camera, and you can use it as a camera shutter button. Should I say a camera stutter button? And that starts a video there because I'm in the video mode, obviously. But if you're in the photo mode, it will then take a photo. So I did do some tests with and without that button being pressed, even though it doesn't actually show me anything. And I'll just show you that. So here in the gallery, I did a test. So here is Antutu. So someone said, well, you need to prove it's working or not working. Well, here's your proof. So that's with it off on a reset. And then I push the button, and to me, that's not doing anything. I mean, the scores are, come on, they're almost identical. It's only a difference there of about 1,000 or so points. All right, guys, so I hope that answered most of those common questions out there that just keep popping up there. So we have a fantastic phone here, if you ask me. I'm just really enjoying this phone so far. I like my larger mobile phones. And as I mentioned, when you're looking between the Mi Max 3 and this one, if money's not a problem, I would say go for this because you're just getting all-round better performance, all-round better build quality, better loudspeakers, better low-light photography is a huge bonus there with this one because, of course, it's sharing that night mode, the handheld night shot mode from the likes of the P20 Pro. Now, the other thing that I didn't, of course, show you is still no full battery details on that. I'm sorry about that. It just takes a long time to drain out these batteries. So there will be an upcoming video covering maybe gaming performance. I've just been installing some games to test out there. And then, of course, my full and final battery stats. And it's looking to me about 11 to 12 hours. This is moderate to heavy use. I feel this is really good considering the spec of this phone, the power it's got. And this also just arrived here too, you've probably seen it in the background. So the Mi A2, this is from Xiaomi, their Android One device. So this mobile will be coming up in the channel soon. Got a factory sealed box there, so I need to go through do my tests on that one. I'll probably just only cover the software on that and just maybe one video because I've already reviewed basically the same exact phone, of course, which is the Mi 6X. This, of course, is a Snapdragon 660 mobile phone. So I hope to catch you back in the channel with the video of that and then up and coming videos, of course, on the Honor Note 10. Bye for now.